So again, this is part 3 of who is Aten Ra. And in this video, I am going to talk who is Amen. So this emphasis will be, I know for many of the religious people, they say Amen um, at the end of their prayers, because Amen is the masculine um, to us, to our Aten Ra. So, excuse me. So let's take a look at this. So, Amen and Aten Ra. So they are our parent self. Amen is the masculine, Aten is the feminine. Together, they make one self. So Amen is the self-consciousness. That is the magnetic aspect of the self, right? Aten Ra, she is the neutron self. So she is the neutron self, that the aspect of the self has the intelligence of knowing about itself, that is incorporated within the neutrons. So the neutrons already have the light and that self-awareness within it. So she is that self-awareness, and she also has the electrons, the light, and she is secure within the void. That the void aspect of the self is the stillness. So all of this, Aten Ra is secure in this aspect of the self that the subconsciousness is unaware of. And that is the masculine aspect of herself. And so all of the masculine arise from Amen. So Amen makes 3 self-replicas, and they arise as the masculine to the feminine self, that the self-replicas of Aten Ra. So like I said before, the first self-replica is the primal teacher, the primal guru, and the Shiva Shambho is her masculine self. And they also make self-replicas. And in another video, I will talk about all of these self-replicas. So the next self of Aten Ra, which is Ra, Oh, these oh in is Ra, and Ra is Ra self replica is Set, and the next one is Nut, and Nut is the Archangel Gabriel. So here I just have each of the self. Like I said, they're also making replicas of themselves too. So the Archangel Michael is self replica of Shiva Shambho, and so is Enoch. Oshun and Geb are the self replica of the primal guru. So, like I said, all of the cells, they are also self replicating. They are also making babies of themselves to come into the world, to explore the world in the human body. Because this all, and as you can see, all is Aten Ra, but her self replicas and babies, they also given the same properties and to self replication, right? So let's look at Amen versus Aten Ra. Because, like I said, they were exploring and creating separately, where Amen was always separated from Aten and was always wanting to enslave her inside of the dream. So Amen is the primal self-consciousness, and it carries a positive charge. Explore the world as the ego, the dream character, the God. And the duality consciousness, and Amen is our father self sleeping and dreaming. While Atenra, she is the self supreme primal light. Atenra, she is a neutral self, the eternal truth and the real. She's our mother self, the one given the destiny to create, balance, and dissolve this duality world. Amen was not happy that Aten Ra gets to be the boss, and he wanted to prove his power and strength over her. The hatred and the oppression of the feminine was born through all of these um, dualities, these gods. And so Aten Ra was always trying to balance Amen and Set, because remember Set arises from him too, from Amen. But the reason why Set was one of the worst gods was because he and Ra, their mind is because Set is the masculine to Ra, and she is the one that has the dual the dual consciousness, and so they share that consciousness, Ra and Set, and his mind is so corrupted from the consciousness. That was why he was so crazy. But because Aten Ra, she has light and her consciousness is balanced, this is why Amen was more balanced than Set was. And this is the reason why, even though many ones know Amen, he's not one of the popular gods like all of them, because he wasn't going spreading so much rumors like many of the other ones were doing. His main thing was battling with Ra, Aten Ra, because he wanted to take over her, um, and wanted to be the god in power. So, but his other self, like Ra, like um like what I just say again, Set and Jesus and Allah, they were the ones that were spreading a lot of propaganda, because I want you to know that Jesus is Anubis, and Allah is Tehudi, and they're the ones that, especially the one that called himself Jesus, he is the impersonator of Heru. So he stole Heru's story and was tricking everyone so that they could give him his soul. So he's not even the real. Like I said, all of these gods, they impersonate the real, and they just like how many of them impersonating me right now. I am in this body, but yet still they are tricking ones when they're calling on Isis, calling on Mahat, calling on Mary. I am all of those self, but ones are showing up to them. This is not me. Some duality is doing that. So this was the same thing. If you are seeking a God, you don't know who's gonna show up and trick you. Like when ones are calling on their ancestors, one of these gods show up and they're tricking you, and you think that it is your one of your family member. Like say your mom passed through this body and went into the invisible world. When you call, you go near and you're doing all of these things, calling on your mom to come whatever you are calling on your mom for, because let the person who passed on evolve themselves, stop interfere with their journey. They're no longer your family. They don't belong to you. They're no longer your family. Leave them, let they go on their journey. But busy calling them up, entrapping them into your ridiculous cycle. One of these gods, these deities are going to show up, and they're going to pretend to be that family member that you are calling on, and they're not that family member. They have been doing this for eons. So this is what that which call themselves Jesus have done. So they're just there to deceive you. So Amen, because Aten Ra, she was the feminine, and she's balanced. He is more balanced compared to all of his other selves. Aten Ra, she had to put up with his bullshit until she outsmart all of his devious plans to take over the world and imprison her in the dream for eternity. Victory, victory for Aten Ra, because now she's being victorious, because now um, the I Self Supreme has merged Amen back onto Aten Ra. He is with her now to help her to balance the world, right? So as everything must come to an end, so the day the day his days of oppressing her is finally over. So at Amen, days of oppressing Aten Ra is finally over, because Amen has now merged with Aten Ra. He must learn that they are indivisible, as Amen is the magnetic particles, the mind, her self consciousness, um, and because he was existing as the mind avatar, he's no longer existing in the mind avatar. No, he's back to his self as the self consciousness to Aten Ra. I want you to know that many times when I am talking, the consciousness is always trying to make me make mistakes. They are set is in this body trying to do all kind of crazy things. There's a battle going on right now when I am talking these things. So know that it is not easy. All right. So Aten Ra, the self, she's electrical particles. She's the real. She's the neutron self. And while Amen, her masculine is the self-consciousness. This is her self-consciousness. Aten Ra and Amen, they are indivisible, and they must exist in balance and harmony. Just like us wearing this human body right now, we and Aten Ra, indivisible. This is why she's here now. She's want to make herself known to the world, that she's here to collect all of her baby self, all of herself back onto her. All of the feminine. So now she exists with her masculine self as the primal light. Right? So eventually, no masculine and feminine is going to exist. It's just going to be the self. Right? So all of the self must return back onto the primal light. Yes, this is what must happen. So the primal self consciousness is Amen. Make the self replica. Shiva Shambho is itself, Set, and the Archangel Gabriel. While Aten Ra, or self replicas, are the primal guru, Ra, and Nut. And I want to say that Ra is victorious over our impure delusional mind. And may Ra wake up from sleeping, and may our consciousness awake from sleeping and dreaming. So all the masculine aspect of the self arise from Amen, and all of the feminine arise from Aten Ra. Aten Ra is our mother self. She brings into being all the feminine aspect of the self. Victory, victory for Aten Ra. The baby self of Amen can take form in the body as male or female. So know that the baby self of Amen, who are animating the body right now, even though you are the masculine, you might be a feminine in the world right now. Because I know many ones who are right now the masculine aspect, but they are a female into the body. The same thing, the baby self of Aten Ra can take form in the body as male or female human beings. So this is the same thing. You might be the feminine self, but when you come into the body, you, whatever you want to explore, every aspect into the duality. So this is why Aten Ra has done this. She wants to explore everything into the duality. The primal light wants to explore everything into the duality, into the female, the feminine aspect, the masculine aspect, just as the light, just as with light, without light, as in a body, no body. So know that everything, all is myself. All is myself. As I show you clearly right here. Amen versus Aten Ra. Where did this all begin? What is at the root of the self being in this dilemma of constantly the craziness in the mind, the battling between the gods, the enslavement of human beings, the craziness in the world? Where did all of this begin? I want you to know for ages, the self-soul cried out to the I Self Supreme for liberation from the tyrannical enslavement by the gods. The Self-Supreme Aten Ra is finally here to retrieve all of ourselves from this dream world. All is myself, and I alone exist. All myself must return back into me. All is the primal light. All the gods, they fight against their feminine selves. Duality consciousness can never be trusted. All the masculine are magnetic, while the feminine, as the self souls, are also electrical. Aten Ra is electromagnetic. Just imagine all of your baby self in the world being enslaved and crying out to you to rescue them. And all you can do is watch in horror and wait for the movie reel to play out the destiny of the ego until you finally dissolve the world. This is what Aten Ra had to endure. And now the I Self Supreme is here to dissolve this dream. Again, we're looking at the I Self Supreme as the primal light Aten Ra. And now she's merged with herself, masculine self, Amen. The masculine principle fighting against the feminine principle. All the duality mind beings, they take form as the masculine when they wear the mind avatar. All the gods, they fight against the feminine, the self, primal light, Aten Ra, the feminine. Shiva Shambho and Shiva were the only two self consciousness beings in the masculine that was in their true self, but was still wearing the duality consciousness. Duality consciousness can never be trusted because, like all the other selves, like Archangel Gabriel, um, the self, when his self was in the real and the consciousness was in duality, the consciousness is always fighting to to bring them back into sleep, to bring the self into sleep, to entrance the self into sleep. Just imagine all of your baby selves in the world being enslaved and crying out to you to rescue, to be rescued, and you cannot do nothing about it. This was the dilemma that Aten Ra was in. Primalite Aten Ra, she would hide out in her sun and watch in horror and terror of the suffering inflicted on her baby selves called souls. It was not safe for her to enter the world. The gods does not know the way to exit this dream world. They have to wake up, but they are all sleeping and entranced in the dream. The gods, they think this world is real. Right now, you exist as the ego character, the ego false self, the mind avatar. So you don't know the suffering your self soul is in. And this is the why I am pleading to you. You need to call into your soul and make union with it so that you can know truth. Self-inquire. The ego has no compassion or sympathy for the self, your soul. Your real self, your real self wants to be free from this dream. Your real self wants to be liberated from tyrannical rulership, from all these gods and deities and ancestors, archangels and angels, gods and satans and devils. Will you castrate your ego, false self, and free yourself? Return to your truth. Will you do that? So this is just a chart of all of the selves of Aten Ra and their selves, which I will do in another video. This is just explaining how the baby selves and all the soul seed they come into the world, making the clones of the baby self, the spirit, which is the baby of the soul, and now a clone is made of this self. So I just want you to remember that this world is a dream. You are in the shattered, fragmented self. You are sleeping in trance in the dream. Remember, this world is a dream. You have forgotten yourself, playing this dream character. You are suffering from false self-identification. It's time for you to self-realize. It's time for you to remember who you are. It's time for the I to self-unify, to unify with the I self-soul. I am that I am. For that which I seek, I am already that. What is the disguise that obscure me, that I do not know how to be myself? It's time now. It's time to castrate this ego. It's time to castrate this ego false self. I self-realize that all is myself. I am one with all. I alone exist. It is I in myriads of form. I want you to understand this. The light must be turned back onto this duality consciousness, the mind of Ra. What's the problem in the world? The consciousness, the mind of Ra, is sleeping and dreaming of the world. Everyone in the world, They have a replica of this duality mind. And this must turn, because this moon is a sun. It must turn back into this moon. The light must be restored. The heat must turn back on, and it must go back to being a sun. The I must come to self-realization, that realizing that it is I in all of these forms. All is myself, and I alone exist. I am playing, I am the dream characters. I am also playing all of the roles in the movie as the dream characters. I am in a costume, and I am wearing the eagle's cloak and the eagle's mask, and I must remove them so that I can come to my real self. Self-realization. I alone exist, and it is I in the myriads of form playing this dream character. Why I denounce all gods, deities, ancestors, angels, archangels, aliens, devils, satans, or whatever they identify as. And why you must denounce them. Because all gods, they are the supreme ego, dream characters. They are spreading false narrative and telling lies. They promote propaganda. They are the illusionists and mind control. They're liars, deceivers, and tricksters, rapists, and sodomists. They are the creators of war, slavery, rape, hate, sodomy, blood sacrifice, and suffering. They are the reason for human sacrifice, the dream illusionary existence, impersonators of the real. They suffer from mental sickness and delusion. They enslave, torture, and rule with tyranny over the I self. So this is the reason why you must denounce them, so that you can get your power back. Your power lies in yourself, called the soul. I encourage you to question this duality in pure mind. Self-inquire. Christ consciousness. Are you sleeping and dreaming of this world? Consciousness. Are you the real self? Consciousness. Are you sleeping and dreaming? Christ consciousness. Is your light on? Christ consciousness. Are you the mind of Ra and Set? Consciousness. It is time to awake from sleeping and dreaming state. Question this duality in pure mind. You must also self-inquire within the I self and ask the self, who am I? How did I come into being? What is the source of my existence, allowing me this world experience? How do I return to my ultimate true state? From where does this thought arise? Every time a thought arises, know that it is rising from this duality consciousness. It is not you. Your thoughts is not you. Be vigilant against all thoughts. This is the message from the I Self Supreme, Primal Light. This is the message from you yourself, telling to you who are sleeping and dreaming that don't know. You are telling yourself in sleeping, dreaming this message. It is I. Mind, be still. Be still, be still. Mind, be still and know that I am in command. You must take command because your mind has been ruling over you. You must take command. I am in command of the commandment command. I am in command of the commandment command. I am not this tainted delusional mind. I am not this mind. I am not this body. This body is a dream creation to explore this dream world. I am not this body. I am not this duality mind. Mind, be still, be still. Mind, be still, be still. I want to say, hail, hail to the I Self Supreme, Primal Light. Hail, hail to the One True Light. Hail to I, the transparent light. Hail to I, the light without beginning nor end. The I Self Supreme Primal Light is saying, all is myself, I alone exist. All my fragmented fractal selves must return back into I. I am all. I alone exist. I am primal light. This world is a dream, and I dissolve this dream. Stop calling on all the ego duality dream characters. They are being dissolved and will no longer exist. It is time to take off this ego disguise, this ego mask. It is time to merge into the I self, called a soul. All myself must return into I. I return to my ultimate true state. Everything that I have created, I demolish. Everything that I have created, I demolish. I am free from my imaginary bondage. I am free from my imaginary bondage. I return to my ultimate true state. I am victorious. I am triumphant. I Self Supreme Primal Light is victorious. I Self Supreme Primal Light is triumphant. Victory, victory, victory. Victory, victory, victory. I am Self Supreme Primal Light. I am victorious. I am triumphant. I merge all into I Self, light, and truth. I alone exist. I alone exist. I want to thank you so much for joining I. May all beings know thyself. Thank you. I am Primal Light. I am the one true light. Thank you so much. I bow to I in self, in light, and in truth. Hail, hail, all the I and I selves. Thank you for joining I. I'll see you the next video.